you want to grab this part?
Yes. Hold on, excuse me. Let me right under this. Oh, God, where'd it go?
Nice. Where do you guys get your fixtures done?
That is actually from the customer.
Just from the
Oh,
customer.
okay.
Yeah. So, this one,
Mm-hmm.
so the problem is, see, it's not gonna lie really flat on this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to set it like on here.
Mm-hmm.
Now my problem with that for now, I think I used it because
You need to set it on top of something.
Yeah. And I can.
Here's a Joe block.
Yeah, is there a Joe block handy?
Right here. Here's a Joe block.
this is the one I used yesterday to set it
Okay.
flat in there.
Nice. And what kind of measurements are you guys doing on this one?
There's some lock. Hold on.
Okay.
You want to pull it up on the blueprint here, or just paper?
Oh yeah,
blueprint?
yeah. If I remember.
If that camera, I put a used cell phone up there as a recording device. Okay, it's actually recording the screen. If
Oh,
it gets
nice.
in your way, that's, you know,
Not a
then
big
I
deal.
don't get a recording. So it doesn't. It's not 100% critical.
Sweet.
As you can see, we've already been checking customer parts with it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to use we have an NIST gauge block set, so
Okay.
we'll fake
Do you
it
have,
with that right now.
Gauge pins at all?
None that are NIST certified.
Okay. You guys, if you email that imsupport@keyence.com and ask them for the calibration guide, that gives you all the manufacturers.
I have that. There's
Okay.
a list of artifacts that
Mhm.
I have out for quote, but I haven't returned a quote yet or a turnaround.
Okay.
My guess, usually that company, it's like Thread Gauge or whoever,
Yeah.
that company has up to a 2-month turnaround.
Okay.
It depends on what they have in stock and what they have to make.
Mm-hmm.
So. Wilbur?
I have a quick question for you, just
Yep.
before we're gonna get started.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to, without turning the machine off, turn off just this display?
I might be able to do that through the software to.
I was just thinking when we go home at night,
Mm-hmm.
it's blaring right there when I get ready to turn off the lights in the shop. And it's like, I'm always turning off all the monitors and all that.
We deliberately left the system on last night
Okay.
so that in the morning I know for a fact it would be running. The
Mhm.
worst thing that could happen is him show up and the machine not
Right.
do.
If you
That
want to
would
leave
suck.
it on, that's great. No problem.
You won't have to turn this off ever. I think the
Okay.
the light is rated for like 15, 20 years of 24/7 use. You could always, I don't know if there's like a way in the software to do it, but you could always just unplug one of the.
The
I'm not
VGA.
gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Nah, it's all right. That's not. Okay, no problem.
Let's see what else we got going on. You guys have this part laying around?
Oh, yeah.
If you can't find it, let's just do this part he has on the screen, what we were working on the other day. There's a V&A copy? Up to use different parts. Yeah.
No, that's the one we needed.
You know what the work order number is? I'll look at it while you work on something else.
Okay. See, one of my difficulties is, okay, you notice the part is kind of flexible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I understand this machine works is take a picture when you're programming, and then the next part, basically, it's comparing the setup picture to the new one.
Mm-hmm.
Try to set it, and then start the measurement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this thing is flexing a little bit,
Like this would be
Yeah.
curved?
yeah. There. How do you do that? I mean, is there a way that you can? Because of the other machine, what I do, because I know that's the condition. I have to go to the program and then switch to manually. Let's say align the part or
Mm-hmm.
take a point and then reset my XY0 and then start measuring.
Okay.
And I can't do it here. I don't know if there's a way to do that.
A little bit. So I'll kind of walk through some stuff on this part and see if that helps.
Okay.
So, you know, right here we've got probably, you know, your line
Yeah,
here
yeah.
and your line here. You can do that. Or another thing that you could do if this is, you can click this center line.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I click in the middle
Right.
and then drag this out to be really big
Okay.
and hit apply, I'll get the average center line across
Right,
this. So if there's any bend, this will
Okay.
kind of be like an average of
Mhm.
that. And then on the ends here, we'll draw our line and draw another line.
Right.
And then you can go to virtual tool
And then
and hit connect.
Yeah.
So now I connect these two lines. Boom.
Yeah.
From here, I'll do my coordinate settings. So I'll have this be my X
Mhm.
and this be my Y, and have it going down
Okay.
the part this way. So that'll kind of help. And if there's any bend in this, it'll probably just move this 0 point up and down somewhere.
But
So
you're setting right now. Are you in the what do you call this? High.
high precision.
High precision.
Mhm.
Okay.
So then we've got, you know, these little
Right.
nubs here, and they're not always going to be in the same place every time. So what we
Yeah.
can
Yeah. That's yeah.
Mhm.
Cameron, just one real quick interruption, just a couple seconds.
Yep.
Keep your thought going. Wilbur, this does not show up
Okay.
anywhere on the server.
No. But you have to go to the part number and look at it on the incoming for the print. It's not yet
Okay, so
This is-
there's not even a base report or nothing for it
No,
yet.
no, nothing.
Okay, that's why I couldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I searched the entire fucking
No, no,
server
no,
for that. Okay,
no.
go ahead.
There's an old job, but I can't find
Yeah.
job
Sorry
number
for
right
the
now.
interruption.
No problem. So now what we can do right here under elements with this
Mhm.
max point, min point, what I can do is highlight the area where this guy is going to be.
Mhm.
And then down here, see this align? This is going to be, so I hit align, click on the finger, and I align it to this edge. So that this, and then when I hit apply, it's going to find that max point.
Okay. You have to show me how. Hold on, let me get- So what's the, okay? I need. You do that again.
Yep. Are you comfortable with everything you're seeing on the screen right now?
Right now it's.
Can you do all? Could you do all of that? Or
Yeah.
do you want me to go?
Yeah. No. I'm fine with it, with what you've done so far.
Okay.
My issue is if you go and zoom into those. Here, see one of the problems is there's a radius call out at the tip,
Yep.
and then there's an angle right there. I know.
This is
And
an
there's a
angle.
problem is if you zoom in, it's becoming pixelated, and I'm not sure if the camera will be able to pick it up. Another issue, if you notice, see sometimes it's the way they machine that, or this is not consistent all around. So sometimes it can be small, sometimes it can be large. And I don't know if the machine will be able to pick that up.
So there's two tools that I think we should learn about here. The first one is this max point, min point.
Right.
So every little app in here has a little video as well, so you can watch that
Right.
to get an understanding of what it
Okay.
does. So what we're trying to do is, in this given box,
You try to
Pick the high
Yeah,
point.
right.
so I can do that here. Hit apply, boom, and it'll,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
most part, it'll do a good job. But sometimes if you get kind of sloppy with where that is, the high point could change
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is make sure that our axis that we're
yeah.
doing
Okay, I see.
is tied to something else.
I see.
So that's why we hit align.
Okay. This one. Okay.
So
Makes
now it's going to be aligned to our x-axis that I drew earlier.
Right.
So now when I hit apply, this guy will redo its orientation to that x-axis.
Okay. To reference that side. Okay.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
So I just hit align, or so I can click on this finger and I could pick any
Either
of these edges.
you choose the reference x-axis, or you actually choose an element or feature.
You can do either.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
See, that's what this finger's for
Yeah.
picking the feature.
Yep. Boom. So now we've got this,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other point that we'd probably want to get is like this point right here.
Yeah. No, you just.
So the other one that we want to use is this point on a line. This one little feature right here has made my career what it is. So what I can do is draw a line here and get that edge. Now I'm going to use that same alignment idea
Mm-hmm.
with this point on a line. So I'll go to point on line, and I'll click and hold and kind of move. So what I want to do is scan down this line, and it'll be able to pick up. I need to go in this way. So I'm going to align it to this guy again, and it's going to be a distance of 0. And then we just need to give it boom. So what's happening is what we're doing is we're going along this line,
Right.
and it's dark, 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 and then as soon as it switches to bright,
Okay.
And this one takes practice. It's really tough.
Could you do that?
Do it again.
Yeah, I just wanna.
I'll do
Okay,
it.
so what they're trying to do is trying to find the corner point right there.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
So we'll do it on this one too.
Alright.
So we'll draw
So
our
first
max
draw a
point,
line. Okay.
a line. It's going to be a line to this
Right.
guy, and it's parallel.
Okay.
And then, so right now it's on the min.
Mhm.
That's why it's picking up the bottom right there. So we'll switch it to the max.
Okay.
And I mean, it looks like you could even just do the same thing and have it do the min.
Larry, lean that up against that monitor. Okay, we have to put a piece of tape on it. Doesn't matter.
I got tape over there.
So now that we've got this high point,
Mm-hmm.
we'll draw a line here.
Right.
And then I can do point on line. So I start in the dark area, and then eventually what's going to happen is it's dark, 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 and then bright.
Okay.
So I can align it to this guy again, and set my distance to 0. And then what I want to do is have it say, okay, well, when it switches from dark to bright, that's where that point needs to be,
Okay.
like that. So now that I have these set up, I can go to Virtual Tool and then create a line between these guys.
Okay. That's the thing. The way it's drawn, at the top it's radius, right? And then there's this element here, and element there. There's this
Make an
included
angle.
angle, yeah. So it's not really from the highest point. It's actually just from this small line there, and not just line there.
Okay. So we have the same thing going on here.
There's another copy of that drawing on the other side.
And then the angle. And it's supposed to be this way.
Not really. It's kind of being this angle here or this.
This one?
Yeah.
That's what it's getting right now.
Okay.
That's,
Which
the
is-
lines are drawn though
yeah,
to that high
it's-
point, which isn't correct.
Yeah. It's,
No?
No.
No.
It's not.
No, because of
Um,
the radius. It's got a radius of
yeah.
the tip. You can't really do that. The actual line is between
Yeah. It's.
here and here
Mm-hmm.
to the tangent of that radius. And that's the problem.
Can you do that? Create a small radius there and then connect, if you know what I mean, connect a line here with the tangent of this radius so the line's up here.
Mm-hmm. So we've got the radius. And then a tangent line.
Tangent point
Let me get point.
is what we want to do. I know this is tough. Because what we want to do, we want to connect the tangent point line, a point between here and this radius, create a point there, and then create a line from here to that tangent point, from here to that tangent point, and give us that radius. Because there's a radius here, but they also want, you know what I mean? I'm going to draw it out for you.
That'd be great.
So it's gonna be sloppy, but you already got it drawn out, Wilbert. So here's your.
So is there a straight and then a radius?
Yeah. Yes. There. It's
Like that.
See, it's
Okay.
like that. So we want to know what we want a tangent point here,
Mm-hmm.
one here between this line and this radius,
Mm-hmm.
then do another point here, here, then make lines between that tangent point and this intersection point, then tell us
Okay.
what that is.
Do you know how long the straight is?
Yes, very small. Probably
So,
about 2,000.
yeah, so you got cross
Yeah, that's
center
just-
here.
I just want to
What is that diameter?
I'm not gonna get big numbers. Yeah.
Go 082, 82 thou.
Pretty much. Most probably 3,000.
So, okay, so
And
these,
all
so you got
around, it's not
18
consistent.
thou.
Sometimes it's-
So the height of that looks like it should be 9 thou. Between here and here. That's what it looks like. Did I tell you what it is?
I'm getting about 5 thou from
Yeah.
this edge to the top.
So what is the dash number for this one, Wilbert? Because I'm basing it off.
Dash number only changes the, what do you call this?
What-
Color and,
Well, the dash, no. Number 20,
oh, which one? This?
number 20. Number 20.
Okay, sorry.
So for the dash number, it's either, if it's 90 thou, it has to be, okay, this has to be one of these either dash 8 or 9, because he's getting 5, and the distance, this is 90, and that's 100, that's 10 divided by 2 is 5. So, yeah, that's probably right.
Well, that portion of the part, I don't think it's changing from.
Well, it depends on what dash number it is. It's either 8,
No, the height of the rib.
Yes.
I mean, that detail, it's gonna be the same on the whole cavity. I mean, the whole dash.
how can it be? If it's saying dimension 20 here,
Oh, unless, hold on.
see right here, it says
It could
20.
be-
One is 90 thou and one is 80 thou, 82
Yeah, hold
thou.
on. Okay, I think we're only checking so far the dash, the blue one. Yeah, you're right.
The blue is a
So
6.
how much did it change to 20?
Okay, it changes 8 thou. So
Okay.
4 thou per side.
Yeah, the blue, just the blue. Yeah, it's like I said, about 2,000.
It's 5 thou height.
2,000-3,000.
Okay, so I have an idea here that I think would work in a repeatable fashion because we need 2 points on this line. So I did the idea of where I created my line and I'm checking to see where things. So I create this line and then I find out where it switches from dark to bright on
Right.
that line to find like the edge. So we need another point on that line. So what I can do is come up here and make a parallel line, you know, and maybe I make it 2 thou higher. And then I can do the same thing here to get my other point on there. And now
That looks
That'll
closer.
be a lot
Mhm.
closer,
What is it? What's the tolerance on that, Wilbur? 5?
plus or minus 5.
Minus 5.
See, that's the problem. This is
Yeah,
why we're
it's
trying to
that-
program it, because
Mhm.
manually, literally, if you move over 1 or 2 tenths, it
Yeah,
changes
it's,
it dramatically. Over the 5 thou, it changes it dramatically.
Yeah.
And this company's like, this isn't a problem, it's no big deal. Really? Then you measure it. Then why'd you send it to us?
I'm surprised they have more of these than anyone in the world. And I wonder if I added more points. So like this one is at 1.8 thou, and then if I made one at 1 thou, or like 8/10. See, that point's gonna mess everything up.
Yeah.
Actually, that looks good. 84.
It's closer, but
But they want the other side. Because they want this, which would make it
96.
86.
Okay, okay, right. But now, that's fine for that one bump.
Will that
Now,
work for all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd have to go individually, because if you go now, go straight down here and look at this one,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the same as that. And it
Yeah,
has nothing to
it's-
do with what you're doing, it has to do with the part. Because you can take that part and rotate it, and it's different all the way around, because it's just how it's made.
Mm-hmm. There's part variation.
Yeah, big time. I mean, you can see it here, just the difference between that one and that one.
Mm-hmm.
So
There
when
may
you
not
set
be
up
a-
your program, like everything has to be set. I mean, there's no way within the program that you can do a manual measurement. I mean, to allow, because like I said, if this one, I mean, you know, it's 2,000, and then this one is. So every time you put the part in there, it's not going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just write complies all the way down a little bit.
Yeah.
What?
You know,
On our report, just read a joke.
compliance.
No.
It's an
Compliance.
internal.
Instead of giving an actual.
Or it's just a limitation of the machine.
No.
that there's-
You can
there's
do.
no-
You can do manual measurements. I honestly, it's escaping me. I'll make sure I'll write that down and get it over to you before I leave. I know there's a way to do it for a fact. I mean, that little feature size is really pushing the specs of the system.
Right. Yeah, like yeah. This one, you know.
Like, and Edwards, I'm surprised that they don't do this themselves, because they have a version of the system that's called the 6145, where this is the wide field camera, and then they have another super high precision camera that can detect a lot smaller feature sizes.
When you were literally, you probably already know this, when you were talking 5 thou and you go over like 1 or 2 tenths,
Yeah,
that
it's
changes
just-
that angle
yeah.
widely.
And that it becomes a limitation, like a mathematical limitation
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
geometry.
Yes, it does, and because of the silicone part, it's not going to fill in exactly the same all the way around on each rib.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Could they give you a model of this and you could just compare it to a model?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Actually,
don't know.
the nature of the part, I think that they're.
And the height of this one would be getting the height of the rib down to the bottom is relatively straightforward.
Yeah, and what is that radius supposed to be, Wilbur?
Here's another
It
drawing.
can vary between 7 to 3 thou on that
Okay.
radius, so that can make a huge difference
It's
as well.
5,000 plus or minus 2.
Yeah, so it can range from 3 to 7.
Yeah, that's.
And when you try to write a program for one that's based off of your nominals,
So we're getting them
6.
6.
it's good.
Like that.
See, 6, that one's pretty much reaching the limit.
And then there's a measurement from the top of that to this edge, right?
Actually, it's
It's
diameter.
They ask for a diameter. So the ribs have their own diameter, and this spacing
Yeah.
between it has their own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's where I was getting the height from, the 2 diameters divided by 2.
Flat pattern, that's what I'm thinking, that might be a better way to straighten this.
We haven't even installed that software yet. I'm not, it goes into a separate.
So you can use this
computer.
peak line right here.
Put that here.
So see how these are like your ribs?
Right.
And then if you highlight that area, it'll create a line across all the ribs. And that's how you would get like your rib diameter.
It's kind of like your average, right?
Yeah, it's using the top of all of them as the average.
Okay. Does it call out multiple? Yes, it even says 8 times.
Yeah,
Each
it has
one
to be
have a
measured
good
each
visual.
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can do the maximum, the one you did here, finding the maximum.
So you
Or
have the
the arc.
distance.
Yeah.
So you would have this arc, and then
Go to the other side.
there's an arc on the bottom.
Right.
Like this.
Yes. And then find the.
And then from here you would go, so you click on circle to circle, and then you click on this arc and this arc. Right away it gives you the center distance, but you just hit maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, 98. Is that good? Yeah. Plus minus 2? Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Jeez, well, can you pick a different one?
Well, unfortunately, that's the one. The
I
next
know,
one
it's
is-
just, I know what you're,
I know.
I know what you're doing, it's just,
Should I print out more copies of this or not?
I don't think so, I think we
Yeah.
got
Well, that's fine.
So I mean there's a lot to,
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
That's why he's asking me questions, because nobody wants to sit here and manually do this and try to get good numbers. Because even with your eyeballs and stuff, trying to hit that perfect,
Yeah,
trying to get that angle, it's,
Yeah.
the distance of the straight is, and is what it honestly probably is, I have to look off the top of my head, but you know there's like a minimum detectable feature size,
yeah,
and that straight is really pushing the limits of that
yeah.
minimal detectable feature size.
What
which-
is it normally? What is,
something like around 5 thou.
that's pushing the limit right there.
Yep.
And if that
Yeah.
rib doesn't form correctly,
Then it's even smaller.
Yeah, it's pushing it. Okay.
And that's where it'd be interesting to see if they would let you just do a model comparison over that area.
Our customers require a report that has
Hard to measure.
the
Yeah.
blueprint dimension, the tolerance, and what the actuals are. If it's a range for like an irregularly shaped object, we report the range. So we sell numbers.
Okay.
We don't sell pass fail almost ever. It's less than 1% of our business is pass fail. Our business is
Hard to
inspection,
make it.
actually. Inspection reports.
Yep.
In this
Okay.
case, well, they want to know each area, right?
Yeah.
They want to know like top to bottom. What is it there? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They want it listed.
If I drew that in CAD as a DXF and we were using that $4,000 CAD package, would it make this easier and more accurate?
So what that would give you would be, what you would do is, let's pretend that this is the model. We would get a kind of like a Mylar trace,
Yeah.
And so we would be comparing the like all these different yellow dots are data points that are perfect. And then when you put the next part on there, if this point is out here and that's a variation of 1 thou, it'll report that.
But it won't give you actuals for what it should be. It won't tell you what that radius is and the angle is.
Correct. You can.
How did you do that?
If we got discrete points on that feature, like pick 3 points along there, and we have trigged out what those points are supposed to be, then we could report it by measuring it as points with a temporary focal point. In other words, we set up a secondary coordinate system at the theoretical center of where that arc is,
Yep.
and then bing, 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 and then we have those numbers
To
which
compare
tell
to the
us
CAD.
where the material is. Think of it as inspecting as a profile with reporting.
Yep. Can I see that blank piece of paper? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page as you. So what you would do is you have your radius and it has some center point. And then what you would do is be like, okay, you know, at 30 degrees and at 90 degrees and at 120 degrees.
Yes.
This point is, you know, 002,
It's going to report a
003.
radius,
a radial
and then
distance.
we multiply it by 2, and we get a range for a diameter. If the blueprint calls out for a diameter.
Yeah, so if you have your center point,
And it can establish a center, a temporary 0 right there. Yeah, okay.
so like we've got this radius, and then let's say you've got like your edge here. So what we could do is make a line, so it's called line via a point. So we're gonna have that point be in the middle of this radius, and then we're gonna have it be 90 degrees off this edge. Something like that.
Okay. You do a construction.
Yeah. And then we could do another one that could be 45 degrees.
Okay, something like that, you really don't want to measure it as a circle.
This is an arc right here. And then the dotted line is just like the
What's the
theoretical.
blueprint? I don't have a copy. Is the blueprint calling out a circle or a radius?
Radius.
Oh, okay.
And then what you can do, what you could do is use this point on line again, and boom. So from circle to point. So from the center of the arc to this point here, when we went straight out at 90, it's, you know, 6.7 thou. And if this is the master, you would be doing all of this on the CAD model, so it would be like perfect. And then when you put your next part on there, you would be able to put a tolerance on it.
Now, that's just one of the radius. Now can I take this, copy it, and go to the next radius and do the same thing? Or do I have to do each radius? Do I have to do each one like that and manually do it?
So you hit control, just like in CAD. So we want the arc. Line. There's a shift. Kind of highlight that, and then hit control to add these, and then copy, paste, move it over here, boom, measure.
So how do you do that again? You highlight the area.
Yeah, so what, I have to remember, so what you would do is, like, highlight this, so you get the arc and that point on there,
Okay.
And then if I want to add to that,
Control.
I
Okay.
can hit Control and Control.
Okay. And then Control C.
Yep. So
Okay,
now,
cool.
if we also know the distance
Right.
between these,
Mm-hmm.
and we have our coordinate system set up already,
Mm-hmm.
I can do. You come into here. It's called base copy.
Okay.
John, you can stand here if you want.
No, I'm good.
So I use the 0, 0 as my base point,
Mhm.
and then I can tell it, okay, move over 100 thou in the X, and then it'll translate it over.
How come it did it? Okay, hold on.
But the distance between, do they have the distance between each one?
45.
45 thou. Okay, that's better. So highlight these.
Yeah, and then
Control to add these lines on there.
and edit.
Edit, base copy.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our 0, 0 point. And then 0, 4, 5.
It's not going to work out
Why not?
because your zero's here, right?
Mhm.
You went 45
No,
thou.
is that an increment? I mean, this doesn't
Is it
reference,
from
but here
zero,
or
or is it from the last?
from the last.
It's just establishing. It's from this point,
Okay.
Okay.
but it's saying, like, yeah,
Okay.
and so it's giving us, if
Making sure we're
45.
measuring it in a straight
Right.
line. No,
Yeah.
no cosine error.
Okay.
yeah.
Let's
Okay.
see.
So then I did 45 thou, 45 thou, 45 thou, 45 thou, 45 thou.
So just
Oh.
click next and just gonna keep on
Then
copy.
you
Okay.
do measure. Okay.
Mhm.
Once you establish that, you click measure and it'll do it for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool feature.
Now, will it? If you click on it, I think it will. I think I'm going to answer my own question. But so now you got all this information, right? Now, before I copy and I want to add, will it give me all the dimensions that you create as long as you
Highlight them.
Highlight them.
Mhm.
Okay. And it'll do the same thing. Okay.
Yep. So for this, it's like what? 7 plus 2 minus 2. Cool. So now I'll do this, and then maybe control. Like I unselected that line, and then I want to add this and this, and now I can do setting, edit, base copy, give it that coordinate system from before, and then 45. Oh, I did 4.5.
Yeah, that's not going to quite.
I was off by a factor of 10.
Looking good. Yeah, no one bumped that camera. That.
And so,
Oh, I didn't. I did not. I don't think I had the line in there. So I have the arcs, the measurement, and the line all selected.
okay.
And you can do the same thing with a bolt pattern as well.
Okay.
So that one's just turn copy.
And then, so if the
So,
dimension
base
is good,
copy
it's green. If it's
and-
bad, it's red.
Yep.
Okay.
And then if very minor details, but like what I probably would have done is come into here and input value and make that line, maybe like 5 thou.
Mm.
So it's really small. So you don't have that
Yeah.
on your screen.
Try.
That's cosmetic stuff.
Is there a way to, so you can do that? So like you don't have it across your screen? Like, is there a way to like cut it like this so you can, you know what I mean?
So how do you adjust the length of the line? I mean,
That's what I
Oh,
was just asking. How do
okay.
you not have a total grid across your whole part so you can see the dimensions?
So when you're drawing them, when you're drawing your first one,
Yeah.
I can double click on it, and then
okay,
you
length.
input
Okay,
a
I see, yeah,
value,
I see.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
make it a 5 thou line.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Because if you have enough dimensions, like you're gonna have, well, your whole screen will be green.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see anything.
And so what you can do is you can do all of this stuff on the solid model, and like you can move around the rib and say, okay, well, you know, when you shoot 90 degrees up, it's supposed to be this far to the center point, and then at like 20 degrees either direction,
Okay.
it's supposed to be that. And then when you put the next part on, it'll compare. It'll say, well, okay, well, when we did it on the model, it was 2 thou, and this part is 2 thou and 2/10. Okay, pass. Oh, this one is 8 thou? No.
Yeah, for our customers, like Pat was saying, they want hard numbers. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Not just, yep, it's good or it's bad. They don't accept that at all.
They pay for the numbers.
Yes.
That's why they pay all the money to send it over here and have you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Makes sense. Sweet. So what I would, the key here, practice, practice, practice. I mean, you guys, like, I think it's going to be fun working with you guys because you have all the CMM experience and you, like, understand metrology. Sometimes there's a lot more headaches with it. So what I would probably do is, you know, get some parts and practice, and if you guys ever have questions, you get unlimited support and access to me and our technical team as well. So if you're having questions on programs, you can export them onto a flash drive and send them over, and I can look at them and see how things are going.
Okay. Is it possible to? Sometimes you have some parts that, for some reason, you cannot just use one lighting condition. Sometimes you use the top, sometimes you use the side. To get what we do with the manual, I mean, at least with that one, let's say measure one line using the top light, and then draw a next line because maybe something covering here you can see, or you know, maybe use the backlight first or whatever. It's a combination of lighting conditions.
Yeah, that's
And
all.
then,
yeah. Mhm.
Can you do? And then how do you capture? I mean, make a measurement. You know what I mean? Say that. Give you an example. This nice part here. So, what we're looking at, there's like a this area here. You have to measure this thickness here. And if you look at the geometry of the part, I can't use the backlight because you know it's being covered. So top light, it's not
So
very
you'll look at
clear.
it.
So yeah. I played around with the light the other day, and what I found out is if I go, oh, shit. A combination. I can see this edge here by using, I think, this light or that one, and this edge by, yeah,
So we need this edge.
that edge and this one.
This is the fixture.
I'm sorry. No, no. Yeah, that edge. Sorry.
Okay. So this edge right here.
Hold on. Could you go top ring light upper?
The white thing off to the side is the entire that's it. It has a wireless.
This thickness.
Shoot. You're gonna go up. That's this area here.
That
There.
thickness.
That one and this. Yes.
Okay. So what you would do, the first thing I want to do is focus.
Mm-hmm.
So what I can do is just draw a line here,
Mm-hmm.
and then hit autofocus, and it'll focus just in that
Okay.
little area.
Right.
Sweet. Then the next thing you can do is hit optimum illumination search, and what it's going to do is it's going to try a whole different bunch of lighting things
Right.
and try to give you the best one.
But it also,
Okay, that's cool. Wow.
Sweet. So now this is that original image that we had with the
Mhm.
light, and then it gives us a couple different options. This looks like the best one to get this edge right here.
Mhm.
So then you can hit OK, and now we've got it for that one. And then do this.
Apply.
And then for this one, it is probably different.
Yeah, because
So you
of-
can just change the lighting back to this, because this gives us that nice crisp edge
Right,
right
right.
there.
All right.
Something like that.
What's that supposed to be, Wilbert? Do you know?
28 plus or minus 5.
Okay.
So what I did is I created 2 different lighting conditions in the same program.
Okay, so it's about okay. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, okay.
My question is, you got it like that, right? Now let's say that the next part, it's not sliced exactly the same, and it's lower in Z.
Mhm.
Will it automatically find that same edge, and will it search for it? So, no.
It goes. The camera goes to the same height every time.
Yeah, see,
So we could
that's-
take another one of these.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's that cut the same way. Hold on. Let me get the-
Is the autofocus function, can it be programmed into the program? Or-
Yeah, it's
It is, but it won't. When you set a program, the height won't change once you save it. There we go. Now, as long as you're within 4
Plus-
millimeter, plus or minus 2 millimeters, then you're within the depth of focus with
okay.
this camera.
That should be.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
that's-
not bad.
Almost 10,000.
So you're,
8,000.
So you set it to go to, if I set it to go to 20 millimeters, it's focusing 20 millimeters on the glass. It will be able to clearly see that same feature if it's anywhere from 22 to 18 millimeters away from the glass.
okay. Yeah, okay. So you're talking about 80,000.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then in the high precision camera, it's plus or minus, or in that wide field camera, it's plus or minus 10 millimeters.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Okay, so that, all right. I just fit. Our worry was because we have to manually slice these things.
Okay.
And if they're not
Yeah,
perfectly
it's-
sliced exactly the same, is it going to be that big of a deal? It's kind of what we're worried
Within 4 millimeters, no. Outside of 4 millimeters, yes.
about. As long as somebody doesn't royally screw up the cutting, you're okay.
They can get away with. You can get away with that.
Yeah.
Gotta make it
Sweet.
easier for cutting.
Yeah, we have to
Definitely.
figure out
Hmm.
something for that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that again? I mean, let's say you create a line and then you select the.
I was thinking that we get,
Razor blade would go down to our
I was
scissors.
going to have,
Same thing
top-
with the paper cutter,
take the
on
Munger,
a smaller scale.
how to create different lighting layers.
No, yeah. No, I was
Get a
thinking
steel.
the first line that you created,
Yep.
and then there's an option. Does it always show that when you create an element, the best
Yeah.
lighting option?
Mhm.
I
Yeah, no problem.
just want to see.
Especially.
So, kind of missed that right there.
No, I'm saying.
So let's go. Okay.
No, I meant past me.
So what you do is you go to element,
Right.
Sit down there.
line,
And then kind of
draw a line, hit autofocus,
Okay.
so it'll focus just in that area.
And then okay, that's
And then optimum
okay.
illumination.
Oh, okay. That's good. So it doesn't matter how many features you measure in that one part. I mean, there's no limit on how many lighting conditions.
No.
Okay.
Now the more you have, the slower the program runs.
Right,
But,
right.
So what I would do here is run through, and that doesn't look good. Oh, that looks really good. This looks okay. This one has the crispest edge. So I'm gonna go with
See,
that.
let's see what it's. The line is kind of.
So what I would do is I want to come here. I want to come from this side in, and then I want it for when it switches from bright to dark.
Okay.
Boom. So then what I would do is, now that I have this lighting condition, I would measure as many features as I can.
that you can see with this lighting. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then let's say that we need like the angle of this to this guy up here. Whenever I am, so I've created a feature on here, and so it creates like a layer, is what we call it.
Right.
So now if I want to measure this guy, what I would honestly do is come here and bring the light all the way back up to the top. And then I would try to get this in focus. No, it's lower.
Okay, I see.
And then here I would draw a line, autofocus. And then optimum.
It's kind of scary.
So it bumped into something.
Yeah.
So it's gonna cancel it. Yeah. So what you can do is come into your settings
Yeah, and then
and then height limit.
yeah.
So you can do optimum illumination on different features.
Right.
You just want to make sure, obviously, that you're in focus on each one.
Okay. So basically, what you're saying, even if you have a not the flat part, so like this one, so you can take as many, different height and then measurement,
Yep.
and then after you measured all the elements, then you can do all your okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought you're limited to one Z-axis setting,
Oh no. Mm-mm. Nope.
but I try to avoid that, switching to Z height because, I mean, if the part is not really sitting orthogonal to the table or
Like
this
I said,
one.
as long as it's plus or minus 2 millimeters, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't think.
No, it depends on the part also. I mean, it's like this, and you're gonna have the cosine
Yeah,
error
if
from
it's
focusing
not-
from here to.
Yeah, even if it's not sliced perfectly this way, it's somebody sliced it and it's.
In the
Yeah.
fixture wonky.
Yeah.
Because you could have them both cut the same way, but if one's like this and one's like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that'll screw things up as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are things to play around with. And
Okay.
then
I
the
see.
other things that I think I'll leave you with, just to kind of understand.
Oh yeah, if you have a part that's, let's say, this long.
Yeah.
Let's say you have let's measure this picture. Let's say from this edge to this edge. How do you do that?
So when you write a program,
Uh-huh.
program, new,
Mm-hmm.
So like for a big part like this, I would use
Right.
that wide field camera.
Right.
All you have to do is use these drop down menus,
Okay.
and that'll change how much of your field of view that you use.
Right.
So now this thing will start to scoot around. So what you want to do is get this, I call it the Italian flag, right here. Gets this red box up, and then we could focus on these edges here and autofocus. And then start capture. So now it's just gonna,
Oh, I see.
and so this way if you want to measure multiple parts as well, you can use this.
That's what I was thinking, Wilbert. Instead of just doing one
Mhm.
at a time, put how many hoses that hold, like 10? Press the button once and let it go. Because that would be a hell of a lot faster than one at a time.
And then from here everything is the same.
Okay. But yeah, all right. So, but this is the okay. And then stop that thing off. Okay. So from there, then okay, then you can.
You just have all your same apps and features and stuff.
Let's see.
And then what I want to show you guys as well is the height gauge. So there's a height gauge built into it. If you ever have any like straight up and straight down Z measurement, I can click on height. We'll say, I don't know, maybe this is 1.25 inches tall. Just needs to be calibrated. So this is the area where you can use the height gauge with that box on it. But I could say, okay, you know, how far tall is it from here down to the glass? And then
Wow. Let's see.
So now, but when you use that, the part has to be pretty rigid.
mm-hmm.
It can't be like these rubber parts that it'll just squish
Oh, it'll
it
just
down.
squish it, yeah. That's more for like machine metal
No
parts.
Yeah, because I've noticed it's not slamming, but it's not a soft touch either.
Well, you can. How do you do that? When you have your height point, I can make this go
Let's see.
slower, so now it won't come down as hard.
How much pressure does it apply when?
That's in the brochure. This system's so new, I don't have that one as engraved in the back of my head as all the optic stuff. So, you know, just relative height difference stuff, nothing too fancy there.
Let's see.
And then on the other side, you have the light probe. And so what the light probe does is you tell it how high or low it's going to go, and it'll give you essentially like cross-sectioning the part and giving you a 2D measurement at that specified height. So the most common things that I see the light probe for would be if there's like a small undercut. So you have like a diameter, and then there's like an undercut where they would put an O-ring in it or something like that. And then the other one would be for like taper, like that. So this one's relatively straightforward. We already told the system how tall the part is, otherwise it would ask.
Right.
And so what I'll do is, okay, I draw my circle like regular, and then I just hit light probe measurement. So now, you know, maybe I want 5 points on this instead. And then if you have a height on the print, you can type it in, and it goes from the glass up. I'm just gonna do something kind of like arbitrary. This is like the manual adjust button right here. And so I can just
Oops.
Oh, that's that top edge
Like
right there.
this.
And then execute, and then it'll touch off at, it's 493 thou off the glass. And so if you have like a really deep, like a 2-inch deep bore, what you could do is check it towards the top and towards the bottom. And if the diameter grows or shrinks, or if you have two different like operations on the diameter, you could see,
So you could do a cone.
Mm.
No?
it won't output it like that, but what you could do is, if you measure the diameter here, the diameter here,
that's what I
and the
mean.
diameter here, and then because you input where the height is taken. It's not full GD&T standard, but you can do almost.
You can do a calculation to figure it out.
But plastic parts have draft to them.
Yeah.
We can measure it at plus draft and minus draft.
Mm-hmm.
All plastic parts,
Yeah.
bores are naturally cones.
Draft. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, but they don't call them out as cones.
Yeah.
It's a whole location and a tolerance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you can check it at different spots.
Yeah.
So that's what the Light Pro is for.
That's what I kind of thought it was,
Uh-huh.
but I couldn't figure anything out about it. Okay. On to the next. Wilbert, where are some things that you were wondering about?
No, I just have to process what's been. Okay, let's say you have you said if you have a cylinder, and then let's say this is the cross section. There's a groove inside. So can you measure this with that light probe?
If it is, if that indentation from the distance from the flat, this distance
Mhm.
right here, has to be smaller than half the diameter of the light probe.
So there's actually a diameter. Okay, it's a diameter. So it's actually making contact with the part to make a measurement.
Yep.
So if it doesn't, okay. I just want to.
If that undercut
I thought
is,
it was using
is
something-
too deep,
Yeah, I didn't.
what'll happen is the ball will get to here, but then
Right.
the little rod that holds it down will just bump into the side of the part, and it won't be able to reach down big enough.
Okay. So.
Shake that.
But it's mostly for, if this thing is tapered, the optics can measure it here,
Right.
And
but
here,
in between,
and then you could get a light probe measurement
Okay.
this way,
Right.
and then you know what the height is, and then you could get this middle point, and then you could even get like a 3D measured angle.
Since we put everything into Excel, it's relatively easy for us to generate formulas in the cells
Yep.
to create data. If you look in some of our Excel spreadsheets, there's extensive
Fancy formulas.
formulas inside of them
Yeah.
to generate geometry.
Yeah, so if you know that this is at, 200 thou, and you know that this is at 100 thou, and then you take your light probe measurement
Lure tapers
at 150.
Right.
on a camera, lure tapers on a camera instead of a touch probe and done automatically.
That'd be nice.
We run in something called lure tapers quite often.
What's that?
Well, yeah.
When you go in the hospital, they connect IVs.
Yep.
Have you ever noticed those things have a?
I haven't been in the hospital in quite some time,
Oh, okay.
so I'm a little lucky in that regard.
They twist the connector, but there's two cones. There's a male cone and a female cone. That's how
Uh-huh.
they seal. That's why it doesn't get air into it or whatever.
Okay.
This is a lure.
Yeah, they're showing the lure fitting right there on that print.
Say we can.
We normally do that using touch technology because we don't have a choice.
Mhm.
Because their diameter.
Well, they're gonna
set
touch one of them.
But we don't have to set it up on a manual touch probe machine.
No, you can automate it.
Yeah. Okay, do you wanna, when you run out of questions, Wilbert, go through all the ways of outputting data. There's a statistical package built into it that is included with the base software. We're not gonna,
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna use this. We're not in the production mode. I mean, we always drop it, put the data in the customer form or our form, or it's, short CPK study. But statistical, we don't need it. I mean, we're not in the production setting.
What do you?
every once in a while, people ask for histograms.
True. But then again, we use the Excel.
If the machine does it right off, native, the machine will do it natively.
I guess.
I want to see if you guys ordered it. Quality inspection. Okay. So you guys have your own Excel spreadsheets that you have to put everything into?
Normally, that's
Oh,
99% of our reports.
You guys should I don't know why, maybe it wasn't brought up in the demo stuff, but we have a software that you didn't get that's called IM-H1T. And what you can do is take all your measurements in your lot numbers and be like, okay, take the lot number and put it in G3, and take this measurement and put it in G5, and take this measurement and put it here.
No,
And
we didn't get that, and I'm trying to figure out how that actually works, because obviously we have two computers. We have one that runs Excel and one that does not.
Yes, so
I can't load software in that machine.
No. So what you would do is you would have an Excel file open on this computer right here, and then on the back of this we have serial ports, and then you put a serial to USB converter on that, and then you plug it into the tower. And then we have our IM data transfer software, and that it walks you through the steps of mapping the cells. And so that way when you have that spreadsheet open and you have the program open that's made it to that, you hit measure and it takes the lot number and puts it here, and takes the inspector's name and puts it here, and takes the measurement and puts it here, and takes that and puts it here. And then on top of that, you would have like these kind of things with your pre-built Excel formulas as well. And that's how you would go all
I think the
about it.
reason we didn't order that is because a couple of our other software packages do have that. We seldom use it simply because of how difficult it is to use, pretty much.
Okay, gotcha. I can send you videos, and you can ask for the you don't have it, but you can watch a video, and then you can ask for the instructions, so it shows you all the step-by-step stuff, and take a look. Otherwise, the way that you'll do it is when you hit the measure button, you can save every time you measure. It saves it as a new. It keeps overwriting a CSV file in a network folder location, and then you'll have that, and you'll have your template that you use.
Okay. Well, what's the next, what didn't we cover so far?
Oh,
We
yeah.
wanted to get most of the measuring stuff out of the way today, all the different measuring functions, because we can export, right, Wilbur, or the CF?
Yeah, no problem with
CSV
export.
is-
I figured that one out.
Well, so just looking at some of the things that you guys are doing, the main thing that I would try to practice is just as many of the to just honestly try using every single one of these virtual tools. The virtual tools, and then the max point,
Yeah.
and the point online. Point online is you're gonna have to try it a couple times to understand like when to use it, but it's the best, and I sell systems based on this one thing alone. So what I would like, if you have like one other part or something you guys want to look at, But I would say practice, 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 practice. I want to see questions in my inbox. You email the IM support, I get CC'd every time. I know what's going on.
Well, how do you report the XY position of, let's say, of diameter relative to, let's say, to a reference?
0, 0.
Yeah, or, yeah.
So we got like a
Yeah, let's say that's your, one of your rays.
So he did do the construction of a long object by multiple camera shots that meshed them together, married them together into one image, and then you just inspect that one image.
Yep.
Making sure the part does not move.
Yeah. And then that way, if you have multiple parts, you can put 10 parts on there and get them all measured too.
Okay.
So we got our 0, 0. And then we'll draw our circle. And then you can either go GD&T position,
Okay, so just do that.
type in your X and Y coordinates if you have them, or you can measure, okay, how far is the center of this hole to just the X-axis?
Right.
And how far is the center of the hole to the Y-axis?
Okay. So let's say you just take a point on that circle, like arbitrary point, and you want to know the distance from. So just create a point there.
On the the random point on the
Yeah,
outside
rather,
of the
yeah,
circle?
yeah. Say. So if I.
What
Look
kind
on
of
a
point
line.
would we want?
Well, maybe just this point here, not the center, but
Oh,
Point,
okay.
like-
So scroll out
like that.
Out.
Or up.
and double click on this guy,
Okay.
on the number. So right now we have our distance from the center.
Uh huh.
If you bump it over to minimum,
Okay.
now see how it switches to over there?
Okay.
And you can do the same thing for maximum.
Okay, that's cool. The other day was, I think I created an intersection point between two lines.
Yep.
And then it's trying to find that the distance of that point from my baseline. And I don't know.
Okay,
I
let's
just,
do it
I'm
here.
not getting. Oh yeah, you just do the intersection point, maybe. just
So,
do line, I
yeah,
don't know,
so
whatever.
line,
Uh-huh.
apply. Next one,
Right.
apply. Virtual tool,
Yeah. that's-
intersection,
Okay.
and then basics, line to point.
Right.
You have to click on the line first. So
I
if you
see.
try clicking on the point,
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna.
nothing, it doesn't work. You have to click, okay, x-axis, point. Boom.
So you cannot just. You have to do it by axis. So you cannot just do like x and y axis at the same time. I mean, there's no option here that you can just click the point and then report x and y, or you really have to do this.
If you do,
If you do a GD&T circle, will it spew the X and Y coordinates?
that is this one right here, point position.
And it'll export it in CSV.
Yeah, so
Okay.
click on point position.
Do one, export it. Let's see one of those exported in CSV.
Okay, so it's gonna show you. Okay.
That's what you're asking, right, Wilbert? Whether it would give you the actual XYs for a whole location?
Yeah, or a point, whatever. So just.
So you
okay,
tell it, so this is where it's supposed to be nominally,
Right.
and then we would give it a tolerance
Mm-hmm.
for the X and the Y.
So which one is this? Point position measurement.
Yep. So that's under app.
Oh, it's okay. I haven't I haven't done that one yet.
point position.
Okay, that's
So
the
I
one
can do
I'm
the
looking
same
for the
thing.
other day. Yeah, just let's say take any point on the circle here. Just kind of curious, what's the
And
distance from?
let's say it's supposed to be 535, and 2.230. Okay, so we're off by
Right.
1 thou and 9/10 in this one.
Let's see. Okay. All right, I can play around with that.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering how. There's so many ways, I guess, to report them. I mean,
Yeah.
they
It's
mentioned
just like
that.
anything else, you just have to keep doing it.
Yeah, until you figure out what's the
Yep.
best way.
Keep doing it.
And then the last thing I'll kind of show you guys is like when you have your little radius like this,
Mm-hmm.
these apps are all programming shortcuts. So I can go to this corner arc and just draw the 2 lines and then
Mhm.
hit apply, and then it'll snap to the radius. This one probably isn't a perfect radius.
Mm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking for it. Okay, it's in apps. Okay.
Um,
Okay, with the plus or if our tolerance is plus or minus 3 thou, for example, for the diameter that just checked, the
Yep.
black one.
mhm.
If I switch from, what would you recommend? Do the high accuracy or the other one when you're
I
programming?
usually say if your tolerance is less than 1 thou, use the high precision camera no matter what.
Okay,
But let's say that they give you a plus or minus 2 thou.
and
If
above.
yeah, you could probably use the wide field, but if you're measuring like a really small feature, maybe not. This one you
Right.
could honestly get away with the wide field
Okay, this one. Okay, because I went with
because they
the
said it was
high
plus or
accuracy.
minus 4
yeah.
or 5 thou.
Yeah.
You can do that with wide field all day.
Okay.
But let's say that there's like a really small radius on it.
Mm.
You could always do that one radius in high precision, and then do the rest in wide field.
You can do that the same program. I mean, hold on.
What you do is you write a program in wide field with
Right.
everything except the radius,
Right.
and then you write a program with one dimension in high precision.
And then
That
combine
has
the
the
two
radius.
programs.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then that is right here, combined program.
Yeah, yeah, I did that the other day. I was able to
Mm-hmm.
do that. But then again, if you're in a high precision, can you still, let's say, you program it, say, 10 parts or 5 parts, whatever, this
Yeah.
is the maximum. So you can switch from, what's the range, I guess?
So for high precision, you have a
Certain inches or,
like
okay.
an 8x5 area.
So the same thing with the wide field?
Wide field is 12x8.
Oh, it's a lot bigger. Okay. Okay.
Now, you figured out metric inch, right?
Is that?
Switching
yeah.
Between metric inch.
Yeah, it's in settings.
Yep. Settings, display settings.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I can work with that for now.
Definitely.
Uh,
So practice. I have to be in my office tomorrow. I don't know who I'm gonna be able to call. So if you guys are practicing programs and you want to send them over to me at like 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon where no one else is in, if anyone's in and you're practicing,
Where does it store the programs? Because in order for us to send one to you, we have to send it from this thing here, right? From the second computer.
No, so you plug a flash drive into your Keyence controller,
mm,
and then optional settings, import export. And then if you just click on this, if you click on this and then hit export, it's going to
Okay.
export everything associated with that program. So see how this is the type of file is a IM series measurement configuration file. That's the Keyence program.
mm.
What's the file extension?
.ssfx.
Okay.
So click on that, hit export on your flash drive, and then just email it over to me.
Oh, so flash drive, because We typically store stuff on the server, which,
Okay.
did anything show up on the server while we were doing this, Wilbur?
No, I don't know. I know if you create a program and set the CSV file, it's gonna write them. I mean, you specify the directory. That's all.
Yeah, because I can go look at the directories. I can go look at
Let's
the
see how you have it set up right now.
directories. Wake up. Come on. There we go. Yeah, we have a lot of computers, obviously. This is Keyence. Whoa, why is it doing that?
Still working. Okay.
No, I'm trying to remember why it does that. It was in the book and the password was wrong and the username and password was incorrect in the owner's
Oh,
manual.
so when you're doing multiple parts in a program,
Mm-hmm.
when you run it, it's still gonna be on the CSV file. It's just gonna go
Part one,
part
part
one,
two.
part two, and then serial number one, whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
I was
That's
just
gonna be-
able
okay.
to look at that not very long ago. Now it's asking me for a freaking password. Okay. Okay, I guess skip that.
Yeah.
I
And-
don't even remember where I found it in here. Has to do with setting up a.
What would you recommend for recognizing the what do you call this, the pattern? I mean, the thumbnail that you create.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a fixture, yeah,
For like this one, or
right. Or like if you I'm gonna use some multiple. What does I guess I just want to know how does the machine or the software recognizes the pattern before it started picking.
so like for a program like this or a part like this.
Yeah, let's say because I want to use the fixture and put maybe at least 5 parts or 6 parts in there.
Mm-hmm.
What will be ideal? Should you concentrate on one?
It's really it's tough because there aren't like hard set rules for it.
Okay.
But what it does is when you do your register pattern,
Right.
what it does is within that box, it looks for how many bright pixels there are and how many dark pixels there are.
I see.
And so what it does is it takes that and it moves it around.
Yeah.
And it says, "Oh, okay, I think I found something."
Yeah, and then.
And then what it does is it spins it around to try to align it as best
Right.
as it can.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
And then it drops all the features down. But the good thing is, if you do a coordinate system,
Mm-hmm.
what it'll first do is
Find your base.
find your X and Y, and then all of your other features are just mapped to that X and Y.
Okay, so in this case, if. Okay, yeah, makes sense. So first, try to recognize the pattern, and then establish your XY, your base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, XY coordinate, and then start doing. Okay. All right. So the good, I guess, good practice will be if you can establish a baseline on a fixture. Do that first before you start doing individual. I mean, let's say in this case, maybe set the programs so you establish, the baseline here, and then before you start measuring stuff, so you know exactly. Set the.
Well, I would just do it on each individual part. So
Oh,
like,
just individual part. Okay,
so like what I would do here is, do like
right.
So what'll happen is it'll use the pattern to find the part,
Uh-huh.
and then
from there, it's
and then
gonna
it'll
find
draw these two
Right.
lines, and then all of our other features are going to be referenced back to that
Okay, yeah. makes
artificial
sense.
origin.
Right. Okay. Makes more sense. Okay, I think. Okay, opens because right now I'm kind of limited because I don't know. It's switching from what call this a high position to the
Mhm.
other one, and then how many parts I can check. Because right now I'm just checking one part at a time.
Okay.
It works.
Yeah. works.
It's repeating very well.
Mhm.
I just kind of want to know if I have multiple parts, how
Mhm.
it's gonna perform, same way as the video. Okay. Earlier we have a part that's this one here. He misloaded one of these parts. So we're checking this ID here for the program. This one here,
Yeah.
and then flip it and then check this. So I have two programs combined.
Okay.
The guy running this accidentally put it this way first, and still as a measurement came out. How's that?
Oh, he put it on the wrong side.
Right, and then it's still measured. I don't understand why. Why will it do that?
Which program is that?
Go ahead and click run program. There's where's the list? Go down. This one. Yes.
Why is it asking me for the credentials now?
Is that the right side?
Yes. And then switch to the other side. That one. But what he did is he did this one first. I still measured, like, okay.
So see how I kept it on the
Right, yeah.
same side?
Uh-huh. But you have a measurement. You should say a fail, right?
So this is one of them. So what you notice,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any tolerances on this.
Okay, I see.
So it's not giving you red or
right,
green.
Right,
So if you put in, 303 and it turns out to be 0.5,
Mm-hmm. Then it's gonna show.
it's going to give you an error message.
Right.
The other thing that you could do is come into here, comments and markers, and then make a comment and tell them which side,
Right.
put this
Okay.
part with the V groove facing down. Apply, boom.
Right.
So now when they have work instructions, so they make sure that
Right.
they put it with the right
The
side up.
what do you call this? So if you edit the program, you can put in the tolerance, right?
Yep.
So okay. Even though if you combine the programs, two programs, you can do the same thing, or you have to do it in the.
You have to if you make any changes, you have to recombine them and resave them.
Okay, so do the individual programs first, make changes, and then recombine.
Yep.
You cannot just do the combined program and then make. I see.
When you two guys get to a stopping point, follow me real quick, just
Okay.
for a second.
I think we're
This
good on
computer's temporarily busted.
Okay.
It busted itself because Windows
Wilbert, follow
Then
him.
do it.
What did you do, Wilbert? The computer busted itself. Committed Harry Carey. Fuck this guy.
All he has to do is touch it.
I was wondering, how come if we do something, we broke it, but if he touches something, the computer did it itself?
Yeah, he blew himself.
You have the magic touch, so you never break anything. Sorry, Larry, you're getting blamed for this one. Your workstation's the closest.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why, the reason why I'm pointing that is that way I can back that stuff up to the server when I back up the server to the cloud.
Yep.
So, because
And
I
then
don't think
some-
this thing directly backs up to the cloud or
No,
anything.
no. And so with that, what you can do is, take those Excel spreadsheets and copy and paste. But if you have like the data transfer stuff and you map it out, it could just automatically populate it. And then, so you would just have this computer hooked up to this computer. But you can get away with it without it. It's
Okay.
just a convenience thing. So yeah, practice. Use all the virtual tools. See if you can write a program using every single different tool.
Yeah. I'll do that. But for now, we're doing this part, and I think I might.
So we're done for the instruction today?
Yeah.
I think there's plenty to chew on, and like I say, practice.
Yeah.
Ask me questions, and the more people